And you're right. There isn't a day that goes by without me using some aspect of therapeutic touch in it. Like you said, it comes in and it becomes such a big part of your life that you can't imagine life without it. But you also can't imagine how people can't find it. And this is an opportunity for people to find it, because my goodness, how rich my life has been since you introduced me to therapeutic
Yeah.
touch.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast. Ideas flow, but never last.
Welcome to Ramblings of a Busy Mind, episode 47. Today we're talking about the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network and therapeutic touch itself as part of the Podcastathon to raise awareness about worthy non-profit organizations worldwide.
Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind.
Hello and welcome to this special episode of Ramblings of a Busy Mind. We're focusing on non-for-profit organizations that we think are worthy to be showcased. And Michelle is my guest today to help me talk about Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network, and in that regards, also Therapeutic Touch Networks of Canada. And therapeutic touch is a discipline modality in itself. And I was looking back because I had therapeutic touch meeting this morning. We were at the volunteer group, and I'm thinking back on how everything started in 2009 when I saw a flyer that said energy healing, and I went like, "Oh yeah, I'll do." No clue. And now it's one of the biggest parts in my life. And if I hadn't stumbled into Jerry Whitaker's course from the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network at that time, I don't know where I would be today, because it's such an integral part. But that first step was everything it took, right? And the network has been in place since 1997, I believe, if I have that right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is a modality that has been founded by a nurse and a medium, Doris Krieger and Dolores Kunz, and as such had already a hospital protocol. It was established very neatly into the QE2, the hospital in Halifax, the biggest hospital in Halifax, to the point that our practitioners were asked to, or practitioners, as we say, were asked to sign the medical sheet and put their findings in there. So when you look at that, it's a huge accomplishment. And I personally think to this day that therapeutic touch should be taught in school or in kindergarten, even better. Start in kindergarten, because it's such a great tool to have, to know, because it gives you the insight of what's happening around you and how to set intention. Michelle, do you want to add anything to that after I'm rambling on?
No, it's so beautiful. With the podcast shining a light on these not-for-profit organizations, sometimes they just fly under the radar. And I think that therapeutic touch flies under the radar because it's so simple and so profound at the same time. And like you said, it comes in and it becomes such a big part of your life that you can't imagine life without it. But you also can't imagine how people can't find it. And this is an opportunity for people to find it, because my goodness, how rich my life has been since you introduced me to therapeutic
Yeah.
touch. And you're right. There isn't a day that goes by without me using some aspect of therapeutic touch in it.
The Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network was holding the space for us to find them for such a long time. And unlike Reiki, it's not glamorous. It's not highly published. It's not highly put out there, and I don't know how to say that, like a stardom almost, like you have to take Reiki, right? And not to put Reiki down. Absolutely not. Energy healing is energy healing. We all do similar things in our own way. the question is just what resonates with you better to start. And there's quite a few people who have switched back and forth between both because one is more resonating than the others. There is no one that's correct or better. But having had the chance with the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network to be fostered, to be trained, to have the people that you could meet with every monthly, sorry. So long ago. Even if that meant driving like 150 kilometers just for the meeting, it was great. It was like family, and it's still like family. You meet your participants for the groups as we meet every second week at the women's place, and then we have one meeting at night every month. You come together as a family, and you support each other as a family, not just as practitioner and Healy. You support, and that's what the Therapeutic Touch Network installed in us, is that community, is that the common drive to better everybody. Because when you offer a treatment, you receive a treatment. It's not I just give. It's a togetherness. It's a common ground where we work together, where we experience together, and where we share. Where do you find that in this world?
Yeah, we don't, not for the place of healing.
Yeah.
You might gather to have coffee with your girlfriends. You might plan a spa day away, but all of those are kind of in the moment kinds of things. When we come together, it's to change the frequency of who we are and how we fit in the world. And so often when we're approaching self-care, it's about how am I going to be? How am I going to feel better? And therapeutic touch teaches you it's about how we are going to feel. How are we going to be better? And how is our community enhanced by us coming together to support each other? I so enjoy that when there's a challenge, particularly, a family member has a health challenge, to be able to send an email out to this community, and this community responds instantly. We will do distant healing sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, they're there instantly, and we can have a change happen. How powerful is self-care and self-awareness as a result of having a community that's already established for you and ready to lift you up when you need it.
I love that they have the educational factor. So you have the yearly meeting, but they bring on, as the network integrates into the national network, they bring on different presenters. And then there's TTIA, which is the international network, which also presents and brings in educational factors. But you have the single platform in our community here in the maritime provinces, that you have a common ground. And it's interesting. You reach out to somebody in New Brunswick. We're sitting in Nova Scotia. You reach out to somebody in New Brunswick, and often in our healing circles, you have somebody who has therapeutic touch background, and they go, "Oh, I know blah blah blah," and you go like, "Oh, I know this person." So you're in different provinces. You are hundreds of kilometers away, and just with therapeutic touch, you have the connection, you have the community, and you're supported, which doesn't happen any other way, I find.
And it's instant. There's not a competitiveness. There's not a level that needs to happen. It's just we're all one in this community. Yeah.
What I always loved about therapeutic touch in the teachings, in the basics, was the very basic understanding that we are just energy fields that can influence each other. That you didn't have to be shown into or taught the mysteries. You don't have to be like, it's so simple. And then you can evolve into transpersonal studies and whatever. So the the educational part again from the beginning to wherever you want to go with it. And if you just take a level 1 or foundations course, which already allows you to work with your family and help your own group of friends in a very efficient way, and that was having a first level
Mhm.
is mind-blowing. And then when we started having our Zoom meetings, which we were the instigators, all of a sudden distance healing became nothing. Because I remember when we learned, my struggles were in level 2. Oh, I have to find a person in another room that I just saw because we were so much in person. But through distance teaching and meetings, you learned that you were teaching, like, distance healing is nothing, and energy
Mhm.
is not bound by place and location.
Mhm.
So it is the best of all worlds, because here is a very effective tool that's come out of research, which it actually did, um, been put in place for everybody, accessible.
Mhm.
It's not showcased enough. That's what it is. So this is
I don't,
why, sorry, just quickly, this is why
yeah.
I would like to do the shout out to the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network. They have been holding on and trying to provide for everybody the opportunity to learn and take the next step and go there, but they're struggling. So they need the funding, and if somebody comes in and has the expertise to help with all levels of, be that marketing, be that social media, be that anything, this is where we need the help. And this is where they deserve the help to go further, to step up ahead again and educate the youth, educate the elderly, educate everybody and anybody in any way they can, because
Mhm.
it's such a huge opportunity.
Mhm. I thought I would just shine a light on first aid
Yeah.
because we want to upgrade our first aid training, which is usually the cuts, the broken bones, concussion, those kinds of things that we can have training in first aid. But the first aid that comes from therapeutic touch can be the opportunity to release some pain, to take some heat out of a situation, to reverse a reaction to something or a burn. And these are, instead of waiting until help arrives, these are things that you can do right away. And I did have one accident scene that we came across where I was with a whole bunch of people who had a lot of modalities for self-care, but their self-care was all in a clinical setting if they were to have somebody come in and they needed to be worked on. And this case, I was able to just take my hands and start calming the situation, creating a loving bubble around all of the people involved, the first responders. And I had a way that I could react and then I could be helpful from
Mm-hmm.
a distance, because I'm not going to go and get into that scene, but I could do that from the distance. And it was something that I could do while we were stuck in the traffic that was created. We couldn't move anywhere and I could participate. And that was such a eye opener for me on how fast I hadn't realized I had those tools so embedded in me that I could instantly turn around and go, this is what they're going to need. And my hands could start going through the field, create that loving bubble and that supportive people, or grounding people,
Yeah.
you know, in a room full of people where the conversation starts to escalate. Family members aren't quite agreeing on something, and you can go, I'm just going to ground the air right now, and I'm just going to bring everybody back and connect them to the earth. What a difference that can make on a conversation.
I have to chuckle because there's my stories to that. The one would be no more black and blue fingernails when you get them in the doors, which I did quite a bit at some time, and I never had a bruise like if I didn't want it and didn't neglect myself, I never had a bruise happen and again. Just with knowing therapeutic touch and being able to shift the energy block out of existence. And the other one is situations where you go in and you expect arguments, putting up that bubble around you of love and then pushing it out into the group and offering it to the group. And you go in and there might be questions, there might be discussion, but there will not be aggravation. And that's a big one. I even do that with my invoices. So
Yeah,
it's so simple, but it's so effective because
hmm
you're setting the energy up not to be blocked.
keeping
And
that balance and flow.
yeah, yeah. And that's so cool. Yeah,
Hmm
no, and as you said, the grounding. So if you were anywhere in a situation where somebody is next to you and it's going, you can feel them like vibrating, you start breathing deeply, you start grounding, and they go like, "Whoo, yeah, I'm good."
Toe starts tapping, knee shakes,
Yeah,
that kind of that knocking bit, you can feel the elevation coming up. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
And the other
Um,
thing is being so ingrained in my life, I just have to put my hand on somebody's back
mhm,
because I'm so grounded most of the time that they just go like, oh, yeah. And you can see that physically, which is so
mhm,
cool. But
mhm,
would not have happened without the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network because I would have not known how to and where to.
mhm,
And yeah. So
mhm,
the shout out is to Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network for like being the provider that we needed. Um, and if you're not in the Maritimes or you want to provide to a different network, just check the national or the international website and find local areas because therapeutic touch is one of the biggest gifts that we have.
mhm. I so areas that therapeutic touch can be found, you'll see them in children and family programming. So we have a special program that is TT for families that comes out of the Atlantic region. We've got for mental health. So with canbewell.org, we've had presentations Therapeutic Touch has done to support mental health and mental health in the workplace. We've had for pain relief, the oncology wards. You'll see free sessions for people who are receiving cancer treatments and before and after. There's palliative care, support during the dying process. And those are the bigger kinds of things that TT can do. And then we've talked about those things that are right at your fingertips when you're in the kitchen and you hit yourself on the pan and burn yourself, the instant reaction that you can have for that first aid. So there's a huge impact on a wide range. And although it started in the nursing community and was able to support people in nursing, it really has come down to the layperson and be able to spread that out into the community.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we have a wonderful network all over the world, but we here in the Maritimes, we would like showcase the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network and
Mhm.
give the shout out to them and hope that you are able to assist, show your curiosity and just see what they can offer and if there's a practice group around you that you would like to join. And you can join online from everywhere in the world. That's the neat part.
Mhm. And it's the foundations that is the first class that you can take. And then it travels up into transpersonal work, looking at the consciousness. We've had a lot of workshops the last year on the death and dying. We have one coming up on dreams for those people who are in the dying process. Ways that we can really support people as they're transitioning from this world. And it really empowers you when you have these tools that you can be helpful. You know the words to say, you know how to sit and just be present with the person, or how you can support the family members who are trying to deal with somebody passing. All of these tools just change the way that you can be a supportive, loving person within the community that you're a part of, whether you're family or friends. And people that maybe you drive people to appointments. How different is it to be able to offer therapeutic touch to them while they're going to appointments and they're waiting, or the anxiety of what that appointment might mean, or the results that come back to them, and to be able to calm them back down and create balance and flow again so that they can think clearly and be able to respond. It's just such a powerful opportunity. And so for those people that are thinking this might be an interesting organization to get to know, there are so many ways that you can come in, as Natasha was saying. So you could look at it. Yes, it could be a financial donation, which could be supporting some programming. Therapeutic Touch tries to keep everything either free or as low cost as possible. They want it accessible to everyone. So that is a big thing. We have the Bertha Ellis Fund, which is a place where anybody who can't afford training or can't afford to go to the conference, they can access some funds there to help them get there. So that can be very supportive. And then we have the opportunities in the office. There's always assistance needed. And Therapeutic Touch, they would be so happy to have some new ideas come in, particularly in social media and marketing. They do have some YouTube videos, but if anybody was a videographer who could capture some of the sessions and what's possible, it would be lovely to have a documentary or even a mini series that was done on maybe following one person in their journey. So if that's something that you could do, that could be very helpful. There's just so many ways that you could be involved. And they do want to have people in their classes. So signing up for that foundations, you can even gather a group of friends and have everybody take that foundations course together. And that could be your pampering weekend, is everybody comes away with therapeutic touch training. And how empowering would that be as an opportunity?
And if that's right now too far out, we have the community workshops like Therapeutic Touch for Families, which is a base small part of what we're doing, but it gives you the first aid tools and self-help tools with your family, or also just within friends, so you can support your community. So that's also part where you can start learning about our tools and tips.
Perfect. So you want to look them up, atlanticttn.com, atlanticttn.com, and you have Therapeutic Touch Networks of Canada.
Exactly. It's the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network, and I will have the information underneath the video so that you can tie in and find them. I would appreciate your help from my side, because I love Therapeutic Touch, and I think it's one of the best things that you can learn in your life, because it just shifts your perspective and it will give you more tools at your hand for your own. But that's my opinion. So if you're up for it, try it. If you want to have a discussion on it, you can reach out and I'll put you in connection with somebody, or I will answer your questions. But yeah, give it a thought and take a look at it, because again, it's a worthwhile cause, and the networks really need your help. Thank you, Michelle, for coming in and supporting me in my podcast. And I love that we have the color scheme today fitting, which was so funny. And I'll see you soon in probably a different workshop, podcast, or whatever comes up. But yeah, thank you for coming in and helping me promote Atlantic Therapeutic Touch and Therapeutic Touch as a whole, because
My pleasure.
it is one of the best things that we can have.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast. Ideas flow, but never last. Waves of wonder, thoughts untamed. Nothing ever stays the same.